What's up? What's up? What's up? And what's good, my people? I am here with Artmart Biz and Out of the Box Creatives or with Creatives. Wait a minute. I'm hosting, filling in for Leo. So, 1 second.
Out the box with creatives.
What he said. Out of the box with creatives. All right. So tonight I turned the script on you.
Yes, you did.
The tables literally turned.
Yes,
You're ready?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So
Hit
you know
me
my
with it.
questions. You know my questions
I
because
know
they're
your
yours.
questions. Okay.
So what was your? I'm going to rephrase it in my own terms. But
Okay.
what was your very first memory with art as a child?
Well, in the womb, I remember my dad playing the Beatles. Maybe. But really, I remember bringing a painting from kindergarten class and some people criticizing it and my mom loving it. And because my mom loved it, I brought it upstairs and I put it in my room.
Aw.
And I marinated on it
Aw,
and
that's
contemplated it. And my mom kind of elevated me in that moment.
That's beautiful. So you cultivated a sense of individuality, right? Stepping out of the norm in society.
Right.
As long as your mom, your family who loves you, like what you do, that's all that matters. And who cares about the outside noise?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I felt
as a kid, that's very powerful.
And as a kid, I felt like
That's cool.
I created something special. And it's like when you learn a new skill, like I felt empowered by it, like I could do something. And, I felt a sense of beauty that I had created something that was aesthetically pleasing. And my mom was like elated about it. And
she was proud.
Yeah. So it emboldened me. And, and now I was still just a little kid in kindergarten. And, I really enjoyed finger painting because it's real tactile and
that's
you
fun.
can get into it and get a little messy.
I used to like that.
Yeah.
I love the smell of that.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
And Play-Doh. Like, artists don't talk enough about Play-Doh. Like,
That's
talk
true.
about the smell. Like, I could smell Play-Doh
Yeah.
all day, Like, if they had Play-Doh cologne, I'd be
artist
rocking the
junkies.
Play-Doh cologne.
Yeah.
And, Play-Doh was nice, and I made some nice things with Play-Doh. And then, like a lot of our other artists mentioned, especially our male artists for some reason, I drew comic book characters as well, and I collected Marvel comic books, and that was part of the early progression as well. So yeah, those are some of my early memories.
That's a good springboard to jump off of, because comic books are very realistic, right? It's the human body, the human form. So that's a great start as an artist. And what made you stick with it? Now I'm going to go off script for a second, just because I'm a little curious.
Sure.
Yeah, what made you stick with art?
Well, what made me stick with it? My father is an artist, and he's a sculptor. So he does stone sculpture with chisel and sledgehammer.
Oh, wow.
And
old school.
Yeah, real old school.
Yeah.
So that anytime I would stray from being creative or being productive as a creative, like I would watch him in the backyard chiseling away at the stones, and I would help him with that. So even if I wasn't working on my own art, I was working on my dad's art. And so it would always like draw me back to, painting or actually pen work. I did a lot of pen work as a kid.
Nice.
So that kind of kept me on that path. And in junior high school, I went to Marine Park Junior High School, and I was awarded the Silver Award for the second best artist.
Congratulations.
The first
That's
best
fantastic.
artist was Rosalie.
Okay.
And I got mad love for Rosalie. And she was a very like precise, like classical artist. And I was like off the cuff, like graffiti and like wild shit. And so people appreciated that we were
out
different
of the box,
in that way. Yeah. But when I got the Silver Award out of like, thousands of kids.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's an awesome
proud.
award. Yeah, super
and then
proud.
I got accolades in high school as well. And I realized it was something I could do better than a lot of people. And like we had talked about before, it's just something I do that I really feel centered. And I feel like my life has meaning when I'm painting and drawing. And, when you do something and you feel like totally fulfilled while you're doing it, it's probably the right thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
So
it's definitely a calling, right? And then it's awesome to know also that what you're creating is something that lasts forever.
Right.
You're leaving a mark in the world.
That's true.
you know? And now, especially with digital and whatnot, it could be there forever. As long as like the grid doesn't go down, but still.
Yeah.
All right, let me go into the second question. Excuse me, guys, since I'm just stepping in. The second question is, what do you like to communicate to the world with your art?
So it's funny that you asked that.
What a surprise.
I do communicate things in my art. You know, I'm a somewhat of a thinker. I like philosophy, and I like to strip away everything until you get to like the essential parts of ideas. And so in a lot of my art, there's that kind of thing. Like I use different kinds of symbolism, similar to you, that communicate something positive and uplifting, or like inspiring. Like in some of my pieces, I have my piece that happens to be behind you is masterpiece.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this.
Yeah, it says the word master and then the peace sign, so masterpiece. And there's symbols like Jesus Christ ascending into heaven.
And that's Jesus.
Yeah.
And we got spaceships.
Well, the spaceships are just something whimsical, but the guns with the flowers are, something
I didn't notice that until you mentioned it.
Yeah, the guns with the flowers. There was a political exhibition in the '60s, and hippies famously put flowers in the military officers' the butt of the front of their guns.
Okay.
And it symbolizes mastering peace.
Oh, okay.
So I like to use
mastering, conquering. Why do we have the apple sigla?
The apple in the Garden of Eden was supposed to represent original sin, and also the Apple phone.
Right.
It might be a continuation of that, like because we're all being distracted from
and hypnotized
actual life,
right,
distracted from paradise.
Right.
And it's kind of interesting that we're all carrying a phone with the symbol of a bitten apple.
Yeah.
And that symbolizes taking us away from paradise. And here we are, paradise is around us, but we're looking at the
awesome.
phone.
I never thought of that.
So
I never thought of
deep.
that.
And so
that's
in this,
super deep, yeah.
I have someone throwing up the peace sign, and he's got a hole in the middle of his hand representing, the
Christ being hung.
Christ being hung.
Yeah.
And the blood is dripping down onto the apple. So I'm glad you pointed that out, because there's big symbolism in that. And
what is these guys? These are so cool. I love them. These are fun.
Those are big fish eating little fish, but the little fish has a bomb just to kind of like balance things out a little bit. So that was like another kind of like idea of peace.
I like that.
Thanks. So
I like that a lot.
It's Bob Marley.
What about the all-seeing eye?
The eye of Horus. The all-seeing eye. In most religions, it represents the spirit. So it's like going beyond the physical to something like the unseen, and that is symbolic as well. And you could probably find people meditate to reach that point of
Zen.
disregarding
Nirvana.
the physical. Yeah, so it's all symbolizing peace. And I left a couple of empty spots, and you could see the wood underneath the paint, and that says "Be still."
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I do use a lot of symbolism.
Very cool.
But just like you.
And what about Bob Marley?
That's
I know you
Bob
brought
Marley
him up
smoking a spliff, and most artists know that could bring you peace of mind as well.
Right, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
I got the cross.
And this is
there.
And what is that, like different religions?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Coexist.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Good stuff.
I really appreciate that. And just like you mentioned in your podcast that you want to do, you could be whimsical and do different ideas and have different, what did you call it? Like series.
Yeah, different series.
So just because I use a lot of symbolism in my painting doesn't mean I'm always going to do that.
Right,
I'm really tempted just to do something fun and playful too.
Yeah, right.
And
go with what you feel.
Yeah.
Have fun. That's what art's supposed to be.
I truly think you're right about that.
Yeah, it shouldn't. It's ridiculous to put something that's creative in a box.
Yeah.
It's an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense.
It is.
Yeah, we shouldn't do that. Everybody who's like an A thinker wants to,
right.
box and conform everything. Like, no, not
and that's
everything
where the
needs to
banana
be.
with duct tape on the wall comes from.
Right.
And that's cool too. Like it should be playful and it should be original. Like the
Yeah.
thing that I appreciate most about art is uniqueness. Like be unique. Like you said, be yourself.
Be
Like it's about
yourself.
self-expression,
Exactly. There
If
is no
it's
wrong, there is no right.
yeah.
And for me, like one of my pet peeves as an artist is when other people come to me and tell me what I need to paint next.
Right.
I'm like, really? You don't tell an artist that.
Right.
That comes from the soul. That's a personal thing. That's within.
Yes.
That's like a songwriter. You're gonna tell them like what to write? No, that's a personal, emotional.
Right.
Like you don't tell an artist what to do.
No.
It doesn't like that to me is just the most ridiculous. But I'm always polite and like, okay, thank you, sure, I'll think about it.
Well, there's different types
But
of
it's
artists,
funny.
and there's commercial art, and a lot of people want to monetize their art, so they'll
Nothing
follow.
wrong with that.
No,
Listen,
there's not.
there's some folks out there like, oh, you're selling out. Listen, that unfortunately this world is set up that you need to live to make money. You need to make money to live. I mean, that's what this world is set up as, and it's nothing wrong to like commercialize your stuff, man. If you know how to do it, like Brito did, and you're making millions, dude, tip my hat to you. Kudos to you. That's amazing.
Me too.
Go for it. Go for it.
My favorite type of artist, however, is the artist that just blatantly expresses themselves.
Yeah. Whatever it
That's
is.
my favorite type of artist.
Whatever it is. You should come and check out our gallery, our studio. There's a artist there, Michelle Gomez. She's very like risque, but you might like her stuff because her technique is amazing.
Okay.
Like super, super good.
Let me know.
Okay, so third question: process and technique.
Well, it involves a lot of coffee, a lot of dilly-dallying, a lot of lunch breaks, a lot of watching podcasts, a lot of listening to my favorite music.
A lot of breaks.
Yeah, and then eventually I'll get around to doing the art.
Okay.
A lot of times, at some points, I have to get in a certain zone. So I might like work up to it for a week and go to the gym and think positively. And then I set myself for a day and I'm ready to paint.
Nice.
So
okay.
I do have that type of process that some artists struggle with, that a lot of times I have to get into a certain zone.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally. If I feel groggy or if I'm just having a crappy week, like I might not produce good art.
Right.
So
it's
I have
true.
to
It's
be
energy.
at my optimal to produce really good art.
Absolutely. But it's energy too. So whatever you're feeling, if you're feeling blah, that's going to translate on whatever you're creating.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't want blah. Yeah.
So also with my process, I'm big on composition. So it starts with a visualization, and I do a lot of visualization exercises, maybe for weeks beforehand.
Oh, wow.
And then I'll have it structured in my mind, and then I'll get the canvas, and I'll look at the canvas and picture how it's going to be on the canvas, and then boom, that's it. Like I got it locked in,
Yeah.
And the painting will come out mostly how I visualized it, but the fun part is the parts that don't quite come out how I visualized it, and it's like a surprise to myself.
It's usually better, isn't it?
It's usually better.
Yeah. Because I do a little bit of that. Like I'll sit in front of my canvas and it'll be blank, but in my head I already know where what the image is going to look like and where it's going to be, and it's true. And then like when it comes out, it's like, oh wow, this is better than like what I had in mind. Yeah, it's a nice surprise.
Yeah.
And last question: what kind of advice would you give somebody starting out in the arts?
So I'm gonna go hardcore with this answer and say like dig in and like put in 100% when you're young, like get it hard and really dig in and really invest in it when you're young. And and I think that's good advice, because a lot of artists doubt themselves, go on to something that is going to be monetarily beneficial instead of doing what they really love. Put it off into their middle age, like I kind of did.
Yeah, right here. Yeah, also.
So just do it. Do it when you're young and do it a lot.
Yeah.
And you'll develop
great advice.
better
True.
that way. So that's my advice to a young artist.
And if they're not young, but they're a little middle age and they want to do art, what would you tell them?
It will be the same thing.
Just do it.
Get off the fucking chair and do it.
It's a Nike
and that's
commercial.
what I did not too long ago. And and I've reaped a lot of rewards from it.
Yeah, you're doing shows, you're putting artists together, you're putting musicians together, bringing
Yeah.
them out into, the city for people to see, for the locals to see. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You're bringing local art together.
Well,
That's awesome.
My lovely associate Lyric has the same testimony that during COVID she decided she was going to totally invest in her art, which happens to be music. And during COVID, I did my first large painting, which is the one right behind you. And a year after that, I did my second large
So
painting.
this is your first one?
That's my first large painting.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay, great job.
Thanks. And I did it during COVID when everyone was all paranoid. And
you're like, I'm having fun. I'm good. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And I walked every day by the beach for hours.
Yeah,
and
you're
I
in a
came
great
back
location. Yeah.
and I felt really good. And I did that. And
couldn't live in a better place to do that.
Yeah,
better
exactly.
state. Yeah.
And so that time inspired me. The world was very, upside down, but I decided to invest in creative endeavors. And I just kept at it for 5 years. And 2 years ago, I started Artmart because I was lonely painting in my studio. And I wanted to share my love for art with other creative people. And so in the past 2 years, like you said, we did a dozen shows.
Congratulations.
Thanks. And it lit up my life, and a lot of people benefited from it. And, and I'm not going to talk about the money that I made because I didn't get rich doing it,
Well,
but
you made connections, I'm sure.
I made connections and it was worth it.
Yeah.
It was super fulfilling.
Yeah.
It was one of the most fun things I've done as an adult,
Right.
So, when you're like a kid and you're out playing with your friends and it's the sunset and the ice cream man
you're feeling
is out
good.
and you feel great. Like that's how I felt in the past 2 years, doing this.
You're making a difference.
Thing. Yeah.
Right? To the community.
Yeah. So, and all artists and creatives make a difference to the community, and we're essential. Not just the nurses and the grocery workers are essential work. Artists are essential workers.
Super creative.
Too.
Yeah. No,
so,
the creativity is very important in life,
mm-hmm.
right? Like doctors and nurses and officers, those are important, but that's the analytical part of life.
Right.
But like the fun, the importance, the depth,
mm-hmm.
that's where you get from the arts.
Yeah. And imagination always comes first. All of those formulas that those doctors have, it came from someone having an original idea at one point, and that was a creative person.
Right.
So we're really
everything
important.
is creative.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I mean, as cheesy as it sounds, I think everything is art.
Mm-hmm.
Cooking is art, walking is art, talking is art, dancing is art, everything is art.
I agree.
Yeah, architecture, all of it. Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to interview you.
Thank you for turning the tables on me.
All right.
Hey, everyone.